Hello everybody, very good afternoon from here in Derbyshire in England. My name is Naomi and it's fantastic to have you here with me in this lesson. For those of you who haven't met me before, who haven't come to my lessons, my name is Naomi. I'm a trained English teacher and I'm here to help you get the best marks you possibly can on your IELTS exam. So how do you do that? You need to make sure you're speaking, reading, writing and listening to English every day. This is the most important thing. We need to be constantly preparing for that exam. If there's anybody here who is not taking the IELTS exam, that's also fine. This lesson will give you general tips which will really help you. Hi Mahmoud, who's joining now. Hi to everybody else who's joining. Great to have you here today. Today in England is quite a cold, foggy day, but we're still ready to work hard and do some English. So those of you who have seen my previous lessons know that I have been doing a lot of work on IELTS techniques. So hi, welcome to everybody joining us now. We have been looking at techniques for writing, listening, speaking and reading, on understanding the exam, getting those best marks that you possibly can, how to really do exactly what the examiner wants, those techniques. I'm very well, thank you for asking. Hope everybody else is very well today as well. It's a wonderful day to be learning English. If not today, then when? Great to see so many of you here with us. So, as I was saying before, I was looking a lot at techniques, but there are two sides to this coin, if you let me use this expression. So, to get those high band scores in the IELTS exams, you need two things. First thing is a good technique. So understanding the exam structure, knowing what the examiner wants, knowing how you will be marked. The technique, how to answer questions, how to approach the exam. That's what we've been doing. And that is a kind of easy, quick way to make sure you get high marks and to make sure you're not losing marks for silly things. The second thing you need, of course, is a high level of English. So we need to have the right vocabulary, good grammatical structures, fluency when you're speaking, nice connecting words, correct tenses. This, of course, takes a lot of longer time to develop than the technique. So today we're going to be looking at specifically one topic that often comes up in IELTS. So we will be looking at art and related issues, controversial topics surrounding art. And we'll be looking at some vocabulary that's really useful for that. So let me share this screen with you. Give me a second here. What is everybody else doing today? I hope everybody's having a lovely, what day is it today? Wednesday. And if you have any other topics that you would like me to cover, then put them in the comments. I'm doing quite a few more topic lessons, I think 8 more. And today is the first one. So make sure you stick around for every lesson. Mahmoud is saying techniques and proficiency in English. Exactly. So we've been looking at techniques. If you want to know techniques, you can look at my previous lessons on the IELTS page. And today we'll be looking at proficiency. So we have common topics in IELTS art. So what kind of questions will you be asked, and what are some key vocabulary words that you need to be able to understand this topic? Of course, there are lots of different vocabulary words that will be helpful. Just going to look at some of the main ones today to make sure that we really know those. So, what type of art is this? What type of art is this? This is what we call a sculpture. A sculpture. So what type of word is a sculpture? It's a noun, and to sculpt is the verb. So Mahmoud is saying, why do we need art? Mahmoud, you're absolutely right. That's a very common question. We will be looking at common questions in a minute, brainstorming some ideas and giving an example answer. So these are just terms that we need. To sculpt something and sculpture. For example, I prefer paintings to sculptures, although I appreciate the high technical skill that is required to sculpt. Yeah, I prefer sculptures to paintings, but I appreciate the high level of technical skill needed to sculpt. That's an example. Random sentence there. Next word. We have painting or to paint. One of the most common, right? So we pronounce this painting. Painting. And what type of word is painting? It is a noun, and the verb we have is to paint. For everybody watching, as I'm introducing these new words, write some example sentences in the comments. That would be a great way to practice these words. I will choose some of them and show them to everyone as examples of these, okay? So we've got sculpture to sculpt, painting to paint. Fantastic. Mahmoud is saying, what about the sculptor? Very good. What is the sculptor, Mahmoud? It is the person, isn't it? The artist who makes the sculpture, a sculptor. Well done, Mahmoud. And what would the person be for a painting? Somebody that paints would be, let's add that in as well, why not? Painter. Move this down, a painter. Profession, it's a profession. And then let's go back to this one. Just like Mahmoud said, sculptor. Sculptor is the profession, isn't it? Okay. So, yes, painter is a noun. It's a noun as well, absolutely. The meaning is just the profession, isn't it? So let's go on to the next word. Okay, what do we have here in this picture? I'm actually looking for quite a philosophical concept here. So how would you describe this flower? It's a flower, isn't it? A rose, actually. How would you describe it? You might say it's beautiful. It's beautiful, which would be the adjective. What is the noun? Beauty. Beauty. Now you might say, Naomi, I learned beautiful the first day I started learning English, but it's so good to make sure we understand the difference. So can I say, she is very beauty? No, because beauty is a noun, not an adjective. So I could say the beauty of this artwork is simply amazing. Or artwork is often created for the beauty that people enjoy from it. Yeah, and then we can have beautify as well, which is not as common as these two, but it is used, so great to be aware of that. Great, we can say that, Mahmoud, thanks. The beauty of the moon pleases me. Great. Very good. That's something in nature that is beautiful, isn't it? Just like this rose. Lovely. Next one that we have. This one, again, is a very general concept. So first, what do we see in this image? We see some dancers, don't we? Some dancers. They're physical artists. And what do we see here? This is somebody sculpting, that word that we just learnt, sculpting some clay. Clay is that material he has, clay. So we have ballet dancers. We have a clay sculptor. What do we have here? Lots of different things. We have fireworks. Fireworks. And finally, what else do we have? Some musicians. Some musicians playing music. So what do all these things have in common? They're very wide-ranging, but they're all creative, aren't they? So I wanted to introduce this term to you, the creative arts. The creative arts. The creative arts is talking about all industries that are related to art or creative things. So, for example, theatres are part of the creative arts. So, for example, art, yeah, exactly. So we're just going to give an example for the creative arts. So I'm going to give you an example sentence. Oh, sorry about that. Just moving these pictures a bit. So creative arts have suffered okay, it's not wanting to do that there. Just trying to make it visible for you guys. Because of the pandemic. Okay, the creative arts have suffered because of the pandemic. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about anything related to art as an industry. Theatre, orchestras, cinema, independent artists, musicians. These are all what we call the creative arts. Mahmoud is saying, is there any non-creative arts? We don't really talk about non-creative arts. We would just talk about different industries. You could say, for example, the fishing industry is all the industry, all the businesses that fish as their business. Or the financial industry is all companies and industries related to money, financial services. In a similar way, the creative arts is referring to all companies, businesses, industry that is related to art in any way, music, drama, painting, any of these things are part of the creative arts. As we know, unfortunately, the creative arts have suffered because of the pandemic, haven't they? Okay, great. Let's go to the next slide. So, what we have here, we have a drawing. The noun, drawing, and the verb would be to draw. So, should we do another example for this? I think the examples are quite useful, aren't they? So, let's, can I exit this? Yes, I can. Let's go back so that you don't see. Okay, so let's do an example of a sentence with drawing. For example, my daughter is there we go. My daughter is excellent at drawing, even though she is only 3. Wow. Well done to her. Quite an achievement, isn't it? So my daughter is excellent at drawing, even though she is only 3. So I can say somebody is good at, or excellent at, or bad at. And then here, this is the gerund, or the continuous form of draw. Okay, so especially in the speaking part of the exam, you can talk about personal experiences, you can reference your own examples. So you could talk about your family, personal examples, things like that is absolutely fine. Great. So next one, what do we have? We have what's this one? What do we think this one is? Taste. Taste. So she is physically tasting something. An ice cream, right? Taste. But we can have a taste that is like a preference. So I can say my taste in music tends to be very classical. Okay. Or my taste in music is very eclectic. Does that mean eclectic? It means I like a bit of everything. I like a bit of everything. My taste in music. Or you can say my taste in art, or this kind of thing. My taste in art is very conservative. I don't like modern pieces of art. Maybe that's true for you. Hi for anybody joining us now. If you're joining us now, today we're looking at art, a common topic art in IELTS exams, and we're looking at some common vocabulary, and in a minute we will look at common questions and example answers there. Great. So in this context in art, do you think we would use the noun more or the verb more? We would probably use the noun more. A taste as in a preference. A preference. Okay, this one. What is he doing? What is he doing? He's leaving 1 star only. Only 1 star. So what word could I be thinking of? If you see maybe a theatre piece or listen to a song, you don't like it very much. Maybe you are critical of this piece. So we talk about critique, the noun. Then we have the verb to critique something. And we have critical, the adjective. Fantastic, Mayata. We can also say rate. Rate is a good synonym of critique. Thanks for that, Mayata. We could also say review. Review, rate, critique. So we often talk about critique in the artistic world, right? We might say, although this painting is intended to critique our society, I do not think it is very successful. Yeah. We often talk about art being a form of critique. Yes, absolutely. We can say criticize as well. Fantastic. Okay. We're going to move on to the next one. So what do you see in this picture? What is actually in that picture? I'm actually not sure, which says a lot about the word that I'm looking for here. So something is not very concrete. It's not specific. Maybe quite vague. What do we label it? This is a type of art. Abstract. We often talk about abstract art. It's maybe very metaphorical art. Great. It is smoke, absolutely. It's very abstract. So it's maybe expressing an opinion or idea in a completely different or unusual way. So maybe this smoke artwork is about the struggle of the working classes to overcome oppression. Okay, if I look at that piece of work, I honestly would have no idea it was about the working class trying to overcome oppression, honestly. And in fact, I just made that up. So it probably isn't about that. But you get the idea. It's normally an idea that then maybe doesn't have a clear relation to the artwork. Okay. Abstract art is normally quite controversial, so you might get a question about this, and it's good to know how to bring this in. So let's just do a little example. Oh, sorry, I'm going ahead of myself. So if anybody can think of an example of a sentence with the word abstract, please write it in the comments. Please write it in the comments. For example, although I love going to, let's get rid of the smoke. Although I love going to art galleries, I am not a huge fan of abstract art. Okay, again, especially in the speaking part of the exam, you are encouraged to bring in and mention your own examples, your own opinions, and your preferences when it is relevant to the question, of course. Number one in IELTS, answer the question. But this is a good example. Although I love going to art galleries, I'm not a huge fan of abstract art. Okay, great. This is some of the key vocabulary. Of course, it's just a small selection. So you need to be looking at sites, maybe like BBC News. You can go to the culture section. You can go to the Guardian culture section. There's a website called Design. Maybe I'll just show you now. A website called Design, which has some nice design and art articles. So this has lots of good material where you can learn new vocabulary. So we've got an interesting Chinese ruins museum, some architecture articles, some design articles. This is just one example of a website that could be helpful to start reading from as you prepare for your IELTS. Okay, so now we're going to look at reading, speaking, and writing examples in an IELTS exam on the topic of art. So we're just not doing listening because that is something that you can do in your own time. You can search that while I'm here. We'll look at reading, writing, and speaking. Okay, so first of all, we're looking at reading. Now, while you are watching this, I want you to take a piece of paper and a pen and take a note of relevant vocabulary in this text. Okay, note down relevant vocabulary or phrases. If you don't understand them, write it in the comments or search it on the internet. And this will be a good resource for you in the future in your vocabulary book. Okay, so get your pen, get your paper ready to note down. We're one behind. So the title of this reading extract is The Truth About Art. So straight away, you know it's going to be an opinion piece. If somebody is claiming to know the truth about something, it is their opinion. Yeah, because especially when it comes to art, everybody has a subjective opinion. So think, okay, this is the writer's opinion. I'm interested to see what he will say, what his or her opinion will be. So let's read it, and we're going to draw out some of those really useful phrases and words and use them as we do our example responses in the next parts. So, modern art has had something of a bad press recently, or to be more precise, it has always had a bad press in certain newspapers and among certain sectors of the public. In the public mind, it seems art, that is, graphic art, pictures and spatial art, sculpture, is divided into two broad categories. The first is classic art, by which is meant representational painting, drawing, and sculpture. The second is modern art, also known as abstract or non-representational. The next part. British popular taste runs decidedly in favour of the former. Okay, the former, what does the former mean? It means the first idea, doesn't it? So let's just go back. What was the first idea? Okay, we can see here, art is divided into two broad categories. What's the first category? Okay, classic art. Representational painting, drawing, and sculpture. Okay, this is like a kind of realistic painting. It's directly representing, for example, drawing a painting of this bottle. It would just look exactly like this. Well, if I did it, it wouldn't, but exactly. So we have two categories. Classic art. Second category, thank you, Miss Anne, modern art. Also known as, so another name for modern art is abstract or non-representational. So it's good to have these two categories in mind. Check I've understood that, because the next part is referring back to them. The former, what was the first one? Classic art. So British popular taste. What great, thank you, Miss Anne. Classical art is the former of the two ideas, isn't it? So when it says popular taste, what does it mean by popular? It means an opinion held by the majority of people. Just like popular music, popular culture means usually the majority of people like it. So this person is claiming what? He is claiming that the majority of British people prefer what? The majority of British people prefer classic art. Okay, so already mentally I am rephrasing the text, and in the exam I will get questions similar to that, checking my comprehension. So if one believes a recent survey conducted by Charlie Moore, owner of the Loft Gallery and Workshops in Kent and one of Britain's most influential artistic commentators, he found that the man or woman in the street has a suspicion of cubism, abstracts, sculptures made of bricks, and all types of so-called found art. He likes Turner and Constable, the great representatives of British watercolour and oil painting respectively, or the French Impressionists, and his taste for statues is limited to the realistic figures of the great and good that litter the British landscape. Robin Hood in Nottingham and Oliver Cromwell outside the Houses of Parliament. This everyman does not believe in primary colours, abstraction and geometry in nature. The most common comment is that such and such a painting is something a child could have done. Have you ever heard that before? Going to an art gallery and someone says, "Oh, my child could have done that." This is something we hear quite often, at least here. And this author is saying, what is he saying? This everyman. This everyman. It means your average person doesn't believe in abstract ideas and thinks that such and such. that abstract paintings are childish, maybe. Okay, so we have lots of really nice words here. We can say bad press. Something has had bad press. Precise. Really nice phrase. In the public mind. In the public mind. So that's another way, a better way of saying people think. In the public mind. Then we have specific vocabulary. Graphic art. Spatial art. Representational painting, drawing, and sculpture. These are great words to note down in your vocab book. Using words like this will really, really help you to get a high score, a high band score. So make sure you're noting these down. Then we've got primary colours, abstraction, geometry, and a distrust. So suspicion. It's very useful terms here. So we're going to move on from this now, because I know it's a lot of small text on the screen for you. But you can come back and pause this part of the lesson, look in more detail. Hopefully that's still helpful for you. So a common topic in IELTS exams when in the speaking part of the exam. Okay, in the speaking part, we have this question. Describe the general purpose of art. Why do people enjoy art? What do you think? Write your ideas in the comments and we'll discuss them together. So describe it's kind of two things here, isn't it? The purpose of art. What does that mean? Why people make it? And secondly, why do people enjoy it? Why do they consume it? So why do people make it? And why do consumers or the general public enjoy it? Let's have a think of some ideas. So this is kind of stunning, isn't it? We look at this and think, wow, pretty cool. Why do we think that? Why do we enjoy it when we're looking at it? Essentially, what is the point of art? Let's have a look at some ideas. This is kind of one of the most common questions. They will ask it in different ways. So what is the point of art? Why is art made? Why do people like art? But they're all asking a similar thing. What's the point of art? Lena, thank you so much for your point, expressing themselves. I think that's a really good one. I think I have that here. So first of all, I put it represents beauty. It offers a critique of society. I think yours is coming here. So thanks so much for that, Lena. Art can express our emotions, or maybe not even our emotions, Lena. It could be something else, right? Or opinions or anything, or it's a good way to express ourselves. Good. What do I mean by it offers a critique of society? It's another way of saying that it can be used as a form of protest. Can you think of any examples of protest art? Because it's also great to bring in examples. A very famous example of protest art is Banksy. Let's see if we can get a picture of Banksy, of some of Banksy's work. I think most people will recognize him. His work. Great. So these are some very famous paintings by Banksy. He's a graffiti artist and a famous protest artist or resistance artist. Lena's also saying freedom, rebellion. Absolutely. Art can be a form of rebellion, and it can be a way to fight for our freedom, can't it? Let's put that in here. Why not? So exactly, a form of rebellion. It can be used to fight for freedom. Great, these are fantastic things. And what else can we think of? I'm imagining, okay, I'm just a normal person. I'm feeling very stressed. I have a lot of worries at home, at work. And my favourite thing in the world is listening to classical music and going to concerts. So why would I go to a classical concert, for example? What about as a form of stress release? Stress release. Can I say release or relief? We could say both. What else? If I want to get away from reality, go into another world, what's a word we could use for that? If I'm sick of reality, I want to leave and find a magical word. Thank you, lovely, Lena. Healing. Let's put that in. It can be, let's say, part of a healing process. Often people say as well, this can be a form of critique or just explanation, a form of escapism. I have clearly spelled that wrong. Escapism. There you go. I am having a difficult life and I just want to escape and enjoy some beautiful art. That is totally fair. It's a form of escapism. Absolutely, absolutely. May I add that? Could be relaxing as well. Yeah, exactly. Or even exciting. Imagine going to a pop concert or a rock concert. Could be sociable, exciting, emotional. Oh, thanks for your sentence, Ms. Anne. It portrays current scenario of specific society. That is a very good point. So make sure you're using the verb, Ms. Anne. It portrays current scenario of specific society. So we would say it portrays the current scenario of a specific society. That's a really nice point, Miss Anne. And in that way, we're kind of saying art can be reflective current problems, maybe. Wow, we have so many points for this. I think you would do so well in the exam. Very good. So it can portray the current scenario of a specific society, and it's often reflective. We could even say it's a mirror of society. Oh, I like that. I really like that. A mirror of society. Wonderful. Thanks for all of your fantastic suggestions. You have some really, really good ideas. So that's great. And make sure you revise these before you go into the exam. So you already have fantastic ideas there. Great. So next one we have says, do you think that art is as important as, just trying to get this, oh no, okay, as academic subjects when it comes to educating children? Do you think art is as important as traditionally academic subjects when it comes to educating children? What do you think? Write me some of your ideas in the comments. I'm going to give you some ideas here. So, first example. Let's say I can think of some arguments for and against. Could say, children are extremely creative and need an outlet, a kind of escape or a route for this creativity. I just wanted to put short points, but that's quite a full sentence, isn't it? Just trying to... Let's see if that works. Okay, never mind. So children are extremely creative and need an outlet for this creativity. 1 point. What else could I say? Well, this is my genuine opinion. I think, especially for younger learners, there shouldn't be a strong divide between different subjects. Move this in now. Strong divide between subjects. Great, we've got an idea from Mayata here, who says, okay, it can be as important as academic subjects if it reflects the innocence of children. That's a really nice idea. I like that. So it reflects, reflects the innocence of children, which we want to maintain, you could say. Great, those are some nice ideas. Depending on your point of view, you might want to include some arguments against, even if you agree strongly that art is as important. It's good to mention why other people might think that is not true. For example, some people may argue that subjects such as maths, right, I'm going to put this more central for you. So let's make this a lot smaller. Great. Some people may argue that subjects such as maths and science are more practical for the future of the child. There is no reason why children cannot... Sorry, this is getting too long, isn't it? My fault. There is no reason why children cannot learn these subjects in a creative way. Some people may argue that subjects such as maths and science are more practical for the future, but there is no reason why children cannot learn these subjects in a creative way, combining the two. Okay, Chetan, thanks so much for your idea here. Chetan says, yeah, art subjects are primitive for students in order to release their fatigue after attending so many other lectures. Yeah, absolutely. So we would say, we wouldn't say primitive, Chetan, we would say essential maybe. Art subjects are essential or necessary. Essential is a bit stronger. For students. Great, I really like this one. In order to release Yeah, or let's say ease fatigue after attending so many other classes. So Chetan, I really liked this. Lectures, the word lectures we would normally use for higher age groups. So for university or high level at school. But for very small children, well, yeah, for children, generally we wouldn't talk about lectures. Yeah, great idea there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Another common one here. Why do you think some people enjoy looking at paintings and sculptures and others do not? Why do you think some people enjoy looking at paintings and sculptures and others do not? What do you think? What are your ideas? I'll give you one of my ideas. This was similar to what he was saying in the article, actually. People may not be used to seeing abstract paintings and find them hard to understand or appreciate. What's my main point? I'm saying people are not accustomed or used to this type of art, are they? Great. Miss Anne is saying this is for the previous question. It makes it easier for children to understand when academic subjects are taught by relating arts. Yeah, that's a very, very good point, Miss Anne. Thanks for that point. Any other ideas for this one? Why do people enjoy different types of art? Another one, kind of simple. Everybody is different. Just as some people enjoy heavy metal, this type of music, yeah, like heavy rock, and others don't. Not everybody will like sculptures and this kind of art. Yeah, just say exactly what you think there. Everybody's different. Why should we all like the same thing? Very, very fair point. Okay, let's look at the next one, and then very quickly to finish, I'll show you an example of a written question, or a question for the writing that you might get. So these are all examples of questions you might get in speaking. Yeah. So this last one that we have says, do you think that some people are naturally better artists than others? What do you think? Right, so what points can we put in here? Well, let's have a think about arguments for. Okay, yes. Some people are naturally better artists than others. I could say, especially in terms of physical art, such as dance. Such as dance and movement. Some people are naturally more flexible and physically able than others. This was just an idea that I got from this picture here. I thought, can I do that? Absolutely not. And I could say, I'm naturally not as flexible as those artists. But what would somebody say on the other side? What would somebody say on the other side of the argument? No. Anyone can train to improve their artistic skills in any field. These are two very opposite points of view. Anyone can train to improve their artistic skills in any field. Mayata is saying it's normal in everything. There are some who dominate. This is just life, isn't it? Some people are just good at everything. Exactly. That's a good argument, isn't it? The arguments we've just mentioned here are kind of nature versus nurture. So how much do we inherit? How much do we train? So we've got some really interesting points of view here. Misan is saying some people are undoubtedly better artists. We're talking about people, so it's plural there, Misan. Some people are undoubtedly better artists than others because they have highly creative minds. Again, plural minds. Okay, interesting point there, Misan. So Misan, you're saying, I assume, that you inherit this mind. It's not something that you train, but naturally, some people have a more creative mind. Now, Chetan, I think, is giving quite a different opinion, aren't you, Chetan? It's saying, it totally depends. Okay, Chetan, so we say it totally depends. Good. We don't need another verb there. We already have depends. So it totally depends on people's interest. As you know, different people have different interests. Different people have different interests. When any painting made up by intricate design, then they might kind of engross sculpture skills. I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say in the second part of the sentence there, Chetan. Perhaps you're trying to say that that some people might have skills in some areas and not in others. But I really like your point that it depends on people's interests and they'll develop skills according to those interests. Okay, great. This is a final example of a written question. Says, the government's investment in arts, music and theatre is a waste of money. Governments should invest these funds in public services instead. To what extent do you agree with this statement? This is a very common topic question, and it's very good to note down. Just note down now, when I leave the lesson, some arguments for and against why the government should invest in arts or not. What do you think? I'll leave that with you. I look forward to hearing your opinions on that. And I hope everybody has a lovely day, and I hope that has been helpful. I will see you on Friday for our next topic. Have a lovely day, everyone. It's been lovely teaching you. Bye.